Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. So today we are going to be talking about The Breakfast Club from the mind of John Hughes. Sophie shrugging her shoulders. Do you remember that film Weird Science? You know what the Bastille song uses, that sample of the what would you little maniacs?
I'd like to do first. Watch you from
Okay,
yeah. That weird woman that appears.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, they
It
make them out
kind
of
of
a computer.
reminds me like of mannequin kind of thing now. Thinking about it. Seen a lot of things lately with these weird women cropping up, and it's like, why don't weird men just appear? Well, no, not weird. Like good-looking men just appear out of nowhere. But yes, I do know what film you're on about.
Okay, yeah. So he's worked on that as well, and I think we have had a part in the Home Alone.
I'm
as well.
interested. Which part?
He was the writer on it.
Home Alone 1?
I think, and 2 as well. So
Oh!
There you go.
Interesting to know.
But before we get too deep into the episode, we have a couple of podcast promos to share with you. And we hope you enjoy and go check out their content.
Definitely do. Don't just think, oh, we're not going to bother. Because, we wouldn't recommend these people if we didn't think they were worthwhile.
So, there you go.
Hear ye, the dishonorable widow Abigail will now speak. Attention, all weirdos, losers, rednecks, white trash, aliens, outcasts, outliers, sluts, whores, gangsters, thugs, poors, and anyone else who the world and society don't care about. I have a podcast for you. Come join me at the Manic Pixie Weirdo, where we talk about all the different kinds of relationships we have in our lives. From movies to math and suicide hotlines to sex. Join us every Saturday for a new episode featuring yours truly and other smarter folk. We need you, and we want you with us. So come join us at the Manic Pixie Weirdo, where we accept, respect, and value you. Listen on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Oh yeah, be kind and stay weird.
In a world where knowledge is king, two men will strive to... Oh, sorry about that. We're 100 Things We Learned from Film, the podcast that takes a different subject movie each week and tries to learn 100 things. Hence the funny title. I'm Mark.
And I'm John, and my favourite thing I've learned so far is that chickens have pea crystals. What's yours?
Quite. Do you know the mosquito in the original Jurassic Park is the only type of mosquito that doesn't actually suck blood? So in this case, no blood, no dinosaurs, no film.
So that's us, 100 Things We've Learned from Film. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts every Monday.
As I say, we're talking about The Breakfast Club today.
We are?
Yeah.
Quite a light-hearted one.
And quite a short run time as well, to be fair.
Perfect short film for me.
Yeah.
Just enough for Sophie's attention span to still be with us.
Did you think it had enough engaging content for the runtime, or do you feel like it needed more?
I don't feel like I needed more. Kind of predictable. I kind of could see what was going to happen the way it did and the way it led up, but I wasn't disappointed that that's the way it went. I think you get really good character development within this film, which I love.
A lot of angst, though, isn't there?
Well, I don't know, to be fair, if you were like that when you were a teenager or not, but...
I don't think I was that way out, no. Not that stroppy. I mean, we all go through those stages, I'm sure, but...
I know, I I had like my terrible twos. I was like a gremlin. Like my grandma wouldn't even look after me. Whereas my teens, I was a bit more mellow. Wasn't so. Oh, I hate the world.
Yeah. Proper
Everyone's
emo, yeah.
out for me. I tried to be emo, but didn't succeed very well.
Well, from the get-go, when the film opens up of the credits, you threw a curveball at me with obviously the main song that's kind of like when you hear this song, I guess you associate Breakfast Club with it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, but
I do now, but I didn't initially.
Yeah. So the band Simple Minds, who wrote "Don't You Forget About Me," which I was singing brilliantly, or trying to at the beginning.
I'm sure you could have done that better.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this sounds like David Bowie.
Well, no, I'm pretty adamant it was.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not. But then I knew it wasn't, but I was thinking, but then you make me think, oh, maybe he wrote it or something. It was kind of like somebody had some influence on it. And then I completely forgot about there was like a quote that comes up that says from David Bowie. So I'm like, oh god, is this like of a Mr. Trick here? Like, is he had some production involved in this or something? But we looked into it, and we're like, before the film even started, we had to like pause and had to like right.
I was proper like, I must be right.
Yeah.
Really adamant.
But the tune is supposedly based on a David Bowie song, "Speed of Life," which we played, and it was like
You're saying it sounds like it.
Kind of, I guess, if you listened hard enough and thought, yeah, kind of those notes kind of fall into place, I suppose. But I didn't know that the band's name, Simple Minds, was from a David Bowie song, which was Gene Genie. So learned something there. I didn't know.
So you're welcome. So my little bundle of like, oh, that's David Bowie, and being ill-educated has helped you be educated.
Yeah.
I also do it really, really badly, don't I, with the Beatles and Mamas and Papas?
Yeah.
And now I just do it when I know it's Mamas and Papas. I just say,
but I never
is it
know
the Beatles, just to wind you up.
Never know if you've been genuine or that's the thing.
Well, normally if it's on Spotify, I look and I'm like, oh, it's Mum and Papa's, and then I'll go, is this the Beatles? Acting like I don't know.
Yeah, but to be fair, you used to say like anything that was any 60s influence band, was this the Beatles?
Well, to be fair, pretty much most of them were.
So there's that before we even start the film, and then we have the whole thing of all the kids pulling up to outside the school.
Yeah, for detention. Have you ever been in detention?
I guess there was a time where I did sort of go to detention after school. It wasn't even really my fault.
Oh, give over. It must have been.
No.
There's always a reason for fault somewhere within you. You can't just go, oh, I'm innocent, it's not my fault. It's your fault. You were hanging around with the wrong people then. Alex.
Yeah.
What did he do?
I can't really remember, but I know it was something like sort of stupid, like I was just laughing about something in class, and then the teacher caught me and some other people laughing, and then it's like, oh, right, you all staying behind and doing lines.
How long did you have to stay behind for?
Well, just the after school thing, I don't know, it was maybe an hour or something, I don't know.
The reason why I'm asking is I've never been in detention.
Why does that not surprise me?
Little halo above my head. I was a good girl at school. Just did as I was told. Mm-hmm. Did my homework.
Well, yeah, yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me that you didn't not do. But I've obviously never been kept after going to school on a weekend.
No, true.
So
I have.
What?
I had to go into school on a weekend to help paint and decorate the school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's almost like detention in itself.
Well, no, because it was more like a volunteered thing.
Yeah, you're a sucker then.
Well, it did need painting, and I enjoyed painting. But it was
so how much did you have to paint? What were you painting?
Like a classroom or something. Well, we had a new building.
Slave labour, this is.
On my own, though. Well, to be fair, bless it was a private school, so that makes me sound, we should went to a private school. But it was a private school that didn't have much money coming into it.
Right.
So like for example, when you had your dinner at the hall, your prefects would tidy it up afterwards, so they'd sweep the hall up once it'd been out, and you didn't have this magic person who worked here come in and clean in the hallway up for you.
Right. Okay.
So it's not so glamorous.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And the detention that Sophie never had.
Yep.
And you get to see quite a few characters already building up with a relationship with the parents. You kind of know different kind of
classes is a main thing really. It's like you even get like a shot of first kid who pulls up Claire in her dad's BMW. It's obviously like, oh, she's well off.
I didn't even notice.
It's pretty prominent. It's like the logo is like right there in front of the screen. Like blatant.
Just designer stuff is just oblivious to me. I'm like,
yeah.
As long as it gets me to A to B, I don't really care what I'm in.
Yeah. But yeah, you the kids are like, you just kind of get a sense of like how they are with the parents more so, really.
Yeah, and the reason like why they're in there, or like a little bit of a talking to before, like don't be doing this again, sort of thing. And then so you've got Claire, who is the prom queen, Miss Popularity, which I definitely wasn't in school. Not to say I was a geeky, nerdy kind of type. I was like, don't think my character's in this film.
Were you like an in-betweener?
Yeah, I guess I was. I'm not. I really want to smack you for that though, because I'm not like Will.
No. By that I mean like you're not too on the high spectrum of the social school scale, but not like a complete loser type of thing. So you are in between.
I wasn't in between it. It's a nice middle ground. The popular people would talk to me.
Right.
I weren't like the lowest of the low. They couldn't possibly speak to me.
Yeah.
But I could also speak to
lower class. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. I was able to. It didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of in that group of friends where it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Who you were friends with, you kind of would all get along.
Okay. I don't know if it was like in middle ground as such because of how I am and everything, be like shy and reserved, but
I think you're more the geeky one. If I'm honest.
Yeah.
When I see that character, I see a little bit of you in him.
Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The geeky, shy.
Yeah, it's the most
kind
relatable one. Yeah, definitely.
I think that would be more you. Whereas I don't think I'm a Claire. No, thank God, I'm an Alison.
Yeah. Who
is really introverted, doesn't speak for half of it.
Yeah.
Which obviously can't shut me up.
That's true.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not her. And she's got a troubled home life where they ignore her. And I think that's obviously mentally scarring her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Where she acts out and cries for attention at any given cost. Of like, I'm going to run away.
And all these other things.
She's like one of those, would she just cry wolf all the time?
Yeah.
Because she seeks that attention because she doesn't get it at home. So we've got Alison, Claire and Brian. We've covered those.
Yeah.
You have got, I forgot his name, the sporty one.
Andrew, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's your typical, American jock or...
Yeah, almost, yeah. He's
like, it reminds me of Glee, this does a little bit, which I know you're going to laugh because Glee was way after the fact. Yeah. But you did have Finn in Glee. You probably don't even know who I'm
No, I don't have no idea. His name's mean nothing.
And he's a little bit like that character where he is wanting to play up to being the sporty jock character and he likes being with his friends and being popular. But actually, he fancies somebody who's a geek.
Yeah.
And it's like Romeo and Juliet, they can't possibly be seen together kind of scenario.
Yeah. I feel like his character story arc is probably the most prominent, to be fair. Or the most developed, I feel like. It's kind of like he goes through a transformation as such.
He does.
Really. I mean, we'll get to it, but Alison also does in her own way. But we'll,
literally.
Yeah. But he, in terms of like his growth and his opening up and everything, he's kind of like is the most honed in on, really.
I think he grows more within the time that he's in detention compared to the others.
Yes.
I think Claire grows the least. I have a problem with her, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
So there'll be a lot of Claire hating, so I'm so sorry if anybody does like her.
Yeah.
And then you've got the typical
douche.
Yeah, the one that doesn't care, is not going to graduate from pass from school, and looks like one of those bums that's not going to achieve anything because he's just slacking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had any equivalents at your school.
Probably were, but I can't really recall who they were or whatever. But you know, just people who just pissed around all the time and just.
Some people though I had at my school did do that, and they got away with everything. Like,
did you? I mean, did your school have things like where if you got mucked around too much, you get sent to isolation? As in, like you.
It's not coronavirus. Is
no,
it?
this is way before then. No, like a thing where you have to do all your class work, but you have to go into a designated area within the school, but you're working alone. You can't be interacting with anybody or whatever. It's kind of like you just so there's no distractions for you. You just have to do your work in this.
Well, who's teaching him or her? Where's the teacher?
Well, mostly him, male people who were doing this. So, well, I just assumed. I don't know.
How do you know he's going to do any work? You could just sit there.
Well, what can you do? Yeah, it's just the same as anything, really, isn't it? But it's a slightly flawed system. But
for your answer, no, I've never heard of that.
No,
at all.
I guess you hadn't had people who were messing around too much then. Who were like, right, that's it. You're on your third strike or anything.
I think they had to just stand at the back of the classroom
with a dunce hat on, like the old days. Well,
to be fair, our school is quite archaic, or was.
Yeah.
My school was. It still is around, but I don't know if they do still adhere to these certain rules. But for example, when a teacher came in, you weren't allowed to be seated. You couldn't just be sat. That was not showing respect. You had to be stood behind your desk.
Bloody hell.
And then you would, once your teacher said you can sit, you would sit down.
Oh my God. Okay, right.
And the head teacher wanted to put in some, the discipline of the cane.
God.
He didn't get away with it, but that's what he wanted.
No way would that fly.
No.
Today. God.
So maybe that's why I have such a goody two-shoes.
Maybe. That's crazy.
Learn something new about me every day. So no, I haven't been to a big upper school. Mine was a tiny, tiny school. So maybe I would have been a geek if I'd have gone to a normal school.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of see that we've got the teacher who is one of those that you just hate.
He's got a problem with everybody, yeah.
Yeah. And he's one of those, he thinks he's right and smarmy, cocky little thing. And it's just because you're a teacher, it doesn't mean you know it all. You've still got progression to learn. Figure new things out. But he just thinks he's a know-it-all. And he loves the fact that he's got that authority over them. That gives him some weird kick, it feels.
Yeah, you can tell him whatever to do, and it's you've got to abide by that or else.
Yeah.
Type of thing, and it's just
it's threatening, really.
Yeah.
It can get really violent, the way that he is. So they have to be in detention for 8 hours, which is longer than a work day. I only work 7.5, and I get a break. Oh, so no, technically I work 8 hours and then I get a break.
Yes, so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a full day. Yeah.
It's a full day.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
9 to 5, but with a half an hour break. Yeah. Or an hour, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I should really get an hour.
Yeah.
I'd be bored. Okay, he asks them to write an essay.
Yeah.
On reflecting on who you are or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's he only wants 1,000 words. It's not hard, is it?
Well, you say that, but if you've got to put a bit of thought behind it,
I could do 1,000 words because you know my sentences.
It's got to make coherent sense, though. It can't just be waffle.
No, I can waffle really well.
That's what we do on this sometimes, I feel. But
yeah, so that they end up falling asleep because it's 8 hours. You've got no phone back then.
No, God forbid. Yeah.
You've got no...
How did they cope?
Anything like a game or anything like that, anything electronical. they've got a piece of paper and what's ever in their bag, and they have to write this essay, which they end up making poor Brian do anyways, which that annoys me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cop-out, isn't it, really?
It's a dick move, isn't it? Like, so it's like, have you still not learned anything from the time you've been there? Especially Claire, because it's her that
they claim they have, but I feel like it's not really reflective of that. But
no.
To be fair, this is what kind of like some people hold this in quite high regard as a film, but there's things like this that kind of do annoy me, because it's like, well, it's not really fair on Brian. He's the one who doesn't seem to get anything out of it at the end, really.
Well, no, because
to be fair, so I really feel sorry for him. He's like because I kind of relate to him, I guess, really the most.
Well, I felt sorry for Brian. He was my favourite character, but maybe that's because I saw a little bit of you in him. That.
Well, you said also my brother.
Your brother.
As well.
He looks like your brother.
Yeah,
he does literally.
Oh, when he had the big poofy hair,
Baby Joe.
Yeah,
but like the characteristicness of them both kind of merging from you and Joe, I'd say. You're both quite introverted and shy.
Yeah.
And he, bless him, he does come out as the underdog in this, I feel like.
Well, not...
You feel kind of sorry for him a little bit? You
feel sorry for him, but I don't think he really gets a great deal out of it. At the end, the underdog implies that he gets he gets his comeuppance.
Yeah, no, literally he's the underdog, but he doesn't get his
he's downtrodden.
Yeah, he is, and it's like I'd wanted better for him.
Yeah,
because you have Claire who thinks she's amazing, but she's not. There's a lot of question like peer pressure on have you had sex and all of this, which I used to hate at school, because like. Why it's not the be all and end all, and once you do it, it's like, oh, is that it?
Yeah,
it wasn't as amazing as I thought it was going to be.
It's a lot of pressure that's put on kids for that, isn't it?
So much hype over something that's so scary. Because it is for a girl. I don't know if it was for you your first time, but for me,
it was.
It's horrible. It's like you don't know what you're doing. It's
nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Am I doing this right? And then somebody's entering your comfort zone. You know, and it's like it's one of those kind of really big deals.
Mm-hmm.
So to peer pressure people, it's like it frustrates me, because I was a late bloomer and I'm happy with that. I'm fine saying that, but I feel like when you're a teen,
kids these days are now like 13 or something.
God, imagine doing that at that age.
Yeah, far too young to be doing those having those things on your mind, and it's like, come on,
I'm pretty sure I still had some Barbies at that point. But Claire is your typical tease, though. This is the thing. This is one of the problems with girls like this.
Yeah.
They look amazing. They flirt with you like something chronic, so you think you're going to get somewhere. And then they let you down. And then sometimes that's where, I'm not saying it's the right way, but girls can get a little bit in a sticky situation because the guy thinks they're entitled to more than what the girl actually wants to give. And I think that's Claire all over. Thinks she's amazing. She really just does my head in. And I feel like she's meant to be with Andy, isn't she? Andrew, sorry.
What do you mean? She's meant to be with him, or?
It seems like they're together or there's something going on. So Bender kind of implies like, oh, are you in a relationship? Or are you two screwing one another? So it seems like they're like prom king and queen, that them two are the like Mr. Popularities. Yeah, okay. And he's asking these questions and she's like, no, go away, stop it.
I think it's more just to wind her up, really, more than anything.
Because I didn't know if they were actually together. And then weirdly at the end, you have this complete shift.
It's certainly with... I mean, you kind of get the implication that Bender and Claire will end up liking each other at the end, because it's kind of like that I hate you more type of thing, but then it's like, oh, right, we actually really do like each other secretly.
I forgot that you had to pretend to hate one another to get in a relationship when you were younger. I feel like really old, like, it's like if you like somebody, tell them, like, don't act like you don't like him.
But the part at the end with Andrew and Alison kind of getting together, that for me it kind of annoyed me, because it's like I'd rather have Alison with Brian, but there wasn't that connection. That's the thing. It's kind of like more just because of the fact that Andrew was like opening up about his parents, or his dad more specifically, is like, you've got to be the the sporty one, and you've got to be, this is you, and you've got to be, you know,
Number
muck
one.
around and you know, you go wild and loose while you're a kid, and so that's why he's in detention because he's taped some guy's ass cheeks together.
That's because his dad used to do that, and his dad puts a lot of pressure on him, saying you need to be number one, you've got to be best at everything. And it's like, imagine that, like, put on you at such a young age, like, you have to fill your dad's footsteps. Like,
so it's like the parents, their connection is that the parents ignore Alison, and Andrew says like, yeah, same with me. It's like the dad just ignores my feelings and thought that's about everything.
Yeah,
so
I think they've got a similar connection with it, but I think
that's the only kind of thing that kind of puts them together, I guess. And then it's like Claire, like, right, let's go to the bathroom and get you changed and more out of these like gothic introvert
that annoys
clothes.
Me.
And it's like, here, look, now you can someone completely different, and it's like,
I'm beautiful now. You can date
like,
me.
Wow, like, and they're Brian and Andrew are like, whoa, like
Brian's face is so cute.
Like double take, like
yeah, he's like, oh. But it does annoy me that a girl has to do that to like get a second look. Like, how fickle are men? Like, is it literally all on appearances?
Well, I wouldn't say so. No, not as me personally. I wouldn't judge someone just basically solely on like how they might look on a night out or anything, you know, because obviously they've got like eyeliner and you know, face blush to the brim or whatever, and it's like, well, is that your true? So
well,
it might
when
look
the
like,
makeup
wow,
comes off,
yeah. I mean,
when you wake up the next morning and she looks like a dog next to you, you know.
Yeah.
There is girls like that out there, like literally, like they hug you and you get makeup on your top. It's like, do you need to cake it on that much?
Yeah,
just be natural. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's giving a wrong message of what a girl needs to look like. For my personal, I think
that's
back
another
then
thing that does.
It might annoy
me a little bit, really. I know it's obviously the means of like, it's bringing her out of her shell a little bit, and it's like, you don't have to be this reserved person. You can be someone completely different. Just give yourself a little bit of pampering, because the show's dedicated that, you know, like the Queer Eye or whatever, and it's like,
I can't believe you said dropping in Queer Eye. You're making me well happy.
Because that's what their shows are all about, isn't it? It's like people who don't really take good care of themselves in terms of like how they dress and everything. And it's like, right, if you do this, then it's like, wow,
you're making me well impressed.
You turn your life around almost, kind of thing. It's like you're a completely different person, which is great.
It's a brilliant show. I love it to bits, and I just want the Queer Eye to come over. I don't really know if I need any work doing. Probably I would love Tan to do my wardrobe, and I'd want Jonathan to sort out your beard. But no, there is a show dedicated to that, but it's more, you have all these different things. It's not just on appearance and then boom, you've got confidence.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's not. It's more, you have to feel good about yourself. And I can get that. Like, she might have felt good about herself for putting a bit more self-care in, but...
Yeah, she came out and she was like, what are you looking at type of thing. It's almost like she wasn't very confident, was she? Because she was like...
She's still wanting that acceptance of other people.
Yeah. And they're like, nothing's wrong, but it's...
What annoyed me, Andrew.
Yeah.
He semi-liked her.
Yeah.
But she has to have a makeover to actually... Yeah. I'd have been like, well, if you didn't like me when I looked like that, then tough shit, you're not getting me looking like this.
Yeah, it doesn't really gel with me as in terms of...
It's not right, it doesn't feel right, but I get it, because they're like, oh, well, Claire... obviously gets with John Bender, and it's like, oh, that's like two different
bad boy
classes.
And the like, good girl, bad boy. Yeah.
And it's like the poor guy, rich posh girl.
Yeah.
So it's like The Notebook all over.
Yeah.
Pretty much high class female.
Yeah.
Lower standard poor boy.
Yeah.
And then you've got your typical cliche of an introverted, shy, geeky girl, popular boy. And it's like, what about Brian?
Yeah, what about Brian?
I'd date Brian if I didn't have you. If I were in school, I'd have wanted a Brian. I wouldn't have wanted a Bender. Nor would I have wanted Andrew.
No, not really.
And there's no girl that you would have wanted there.
Or, to be honest, and despite Alison's poor taste in lunch,
That is
thing,
disgusting.
it's, yeah, definitely over Claire. I would choose her over Claire.
I applaud you for that, because Claire does my head in.
But although when they come to the lunch, speaking about that, it's like I wouldn't even entertain the idea of having sushi for lunch at that age.
No, I wouldn't have even known what it was.
Or even
probably.
maybe a couple of years ago. But times have changed now, so it's like now I'd be like, oh yeah, I can just eat it, no problem.
But she's just hoity-toity, isn't she?
Yeah. So again, that's another thing of the state of class.
Mm-hmm.
When they go, what have you got for lunch? And she's got this fancy ass food.
Yeah.
Alison's got this bread. She takes the meat out of the side, whatever meat it is, processed stuff, and then she pours like sugar and then assume crisps or potato chips or whatever.
Yeah, they look like that, don't
something,
they?
and crunches up, and it's like, oh, that's disgusting. Andrew has like a big, almost like a shopping cart of like. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. It's way too much for lunch.
But then he's a wrestler, so he needs to bulk up, doesn't he?
And then Brian has soup and
a peanut butter sandwich
and apple juice.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
He's like, that would be my lunch.
Yeah, that'd be mine. Yeah.
Like out of all of them, I probably would have had that or a sandwich.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ben didn't have any lunch, so which to be fair, I think I mean, obviously the first time I saw it, really, it was kind of half expecting to be like a proper bully and be like, oh, I'll just take in your food or something
I thought that of Brian. At least he was going to take Brian's food.
Yeah.
Because the way he was like asking.
Yeah, like, oh, what have you got kind of thing. And like a typical bully would do. Like, oh, this looks great and I'll just take this. And but he doesn't.
No, he wanted
so fair play to him there.
Dopey dope or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Instead.
Yeah.
So that's probably his food, isn't it?
Yeah.
But to be fair, wouldn't you need some food? And doesn't that give you the munchies?
It does, yeah.
So, wouldn't you need a snack?
Mm-hmm.
So, Bender, he has really hard time at home. I think they're abusive. And that's why he's, kind of saying he lashes out. Which, I'm not condoning this. I don't think if you try like that at home, you should treat other people like that. You should try and rise above it. And I know it's hard, but it's one of those things where, do you really want to become your parents?
That's the main thing that's throughout this film as well, isn't it? It's like, are we going to be like our parents, type of thing? And Alison says, oh, it's like inevitable type of thing. It's like it's set thing. That's just how it is. But we always kind of say that, don't we? It's like, oh, are we going to be like that even not in film setting, but
definitely.
Like we always think we're always going to be better than, or try and be better than what our parents had, or what their mistakes are. We try and think we can fix and go, right, we can do better than that. But
or try and be thinking, oh, well, they did this well, but actually I think I'd ramp it up a little bit to 50% or something more than they did.
Yeah.
But I think Alison's line, she did make me chuckle. I did write it down, that it is inevitable, and when you grow up, your hearts die. Yeah. I just really thought that was quite an innocent line to be said. Like, it made her sound quite childish to me. Like, if our hearts died, then we'd die. We wouldn't be alive.
I think it meant just more like shriveled up and just be not feeling for anything, like soulless.
I guess you do become more immune. You build a harder core.
Well, I would say from when I've known you initially, and you've, not to say you've gone through hard stuff, but you've kind of come to realise how the world kind of is now, and it's kind of it's a lot harder than you think it is, and it's like, oh my god, how things are.
Yeah, because I think I was always wanting to people please everybody,
and it's not possible.
And I used to want to be liked by everybody. Like, if somebody disliked me, that would really upset me. You'd be like, why? I'm such a nice person. Like, I do everything right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, some people, you're just not their cup of tea, and it's like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like my tea too strong. I like it milky, and other people might want it that way.
Yeah.
So you do get Bender kind of being mischievous, sneaking out. He is like the class clown.
Yeah.
But it does make you think, doesn't it, sometimes, where he has this kind of backlash with the teacher. Obviously, it's Richard, and he calls him Dick, doesn't he?
Yeah. Kind
of like, oh, you're going to be in detention next week.
Yeah.
Next
kind
week.
of provoking him. Yeah.
But then he says, no one wants to be John Bender in 5 years' time. Mm-hmm. And that just hit me. It's like, yeah, because your school years, people think, oh, they're amazing, they really, really do.
You don't want to peak in high school or whatever.
If you're popular in high school, it's just going to go downhill.
Yeah.
When you're actually an adult, it's better to learn and grow, because if you've just been handed it on a plate your entire life, like, everything's just come easy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be like that arsehole and like a proper American jock and like, yeah, ooh, everything's all great, I'm popular, I get all the girls and stuff, and it's like, that doesn't last forever.
No. Girls want a little bit more than just a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
You'll do for a night.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to be husband material, sadly, unless you've got a brain. So, yeah, it's interesting to think about where you would be in 5 years' time in reflection to being at school. Because people say it's the best years of your life, but I wouldn't want to go back.
I would say definitely more, if you would say any academic thing, would probably, if you went to college, maybe university.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they are more the friends you make for life, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More so, because you're a lot more established and you're a bit more grown up than you are in school.
And you don't have those typical cliches like you do in school, really. It doesn't feel like you have that in a college or a university environment.
No,
you seem to get along a lot better.
Yeah.
So, all taking drugs together. Brian really shocked me in this. I didn't think he was going to do it. I thought it was going to be me. And be like, I can hold my hand up and I'm like, I haven't not done anything like that. I am such a good girl. I've got a halo around my head. I better go to heaven. Or I'll be like, shit, I've wasted my life. Why didn't I try all of this if this doesn't matter?
Well,
not saying if you have tried it, you're going to hell, like.
No. But Brian, he did strangely like seem like he's done it before, because he was acting like, like he was doing, like he wasn't like like Claire was. She was like, like not proper smoking it properly.
Yeah.
He was like almost like dragging it like it's like he has done it before type of thing. I know he's wearing the shades and everything, like obviously like being a character there.
Yeah.
But I guess that maybe just because he's like showing off type of thing. But he wasn't like spluttering or anything like that. So it's kind of like a bit odd that he was like that, really. True,
but you know what? It did remind me of you a little bit. Like,
what, being drunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how I knew where I was going with this. Like, your level of confidence just seems to pick up.
Definitely does.
Like, 50%. Like, you're like, boom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here. I want to be heard. And
I don't know what it is, but it's just how I am. I'm glad that's more, rather be a fun drunk than a angry drunk or a sad drunk.
True, but you can be annoying. Selfie. And it's like, you don't talk to me literally like this all the time. So, like, literally, this conversation here that we're having right now is probably the most Paul talked to me all week. Because you have to talk to me. Whereas, like, when you're drunk, this is like, you're like me. And that's difficult. But yeah, he did. Brian definitely is a you drunk on drugs.
Yeah.
Do you think that as well, a little bit of pressure, like, really, Brian? And then Alison goes and they're like all going, and it's like, I know people at uni have tried me to like, do you want? And I'm like, no, you're all right.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been really persuasive, but I'm just a bit of a, I've said no. If I've said no, then it's a no, Yeah,
you're the same with alcohol, aren't you, really? It went back then.
Especially
anyway.
if somebody pushes it on me.
Yeah.
I'm so stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no. And even if I wanted one, then it'd be like, no, because you want me to.
Yeah. Just for the sake of it, yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's another part of that, when the whole smoking dope part, and I feel like it's probably not a true reflection. Maybe it's just reflecting on Andrew's anger. There's like a thing where he's obviously like jumping around the library area or whatever, and like backflips and all that stuff, and then he goes to a room and he's like screaming, and the glass shatters. But I think that's maybe, I don't know, that's truly real. I think that's just more he's just angry at
suppressed anger at his father, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's
really?
kind of like showing that metaphorically.
You then get to a point of where they're emptying all the bags out. They want to see what's in your bag. It's like, at the moment, if somebody saw my bag, they'd just think, God, she's a clean freak. Pretty pretty much with the C word around. But obviously you get Claire's bag. It's just lipstick, makeup, all this stuff that pretty girls would carry in their bag.
Yeah.
And I think obviously it's just then Alison's like, do you want to see my bag? Because obviously I think this is with Andrew and Brian. And then she's got literally everything that she needs, like underwear.
Yeah, she's on about this thing about you just run away from home type of thing. She's got everything with her at all times.
I've got a problem with this. First of all, don't run away from home because you don't have a job, you don't have money, and you're going to be on the street, and you're going to get cold and probably die.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm sure you should have somebody there to be able to support you and go to. But crying wolf, saying you're running away. If you want to run away. Don't just...
But you just said don't do it.
But don't just go, I'm going to run away for attention. If you generally need to run away, then you'd have done it by now.
Yeah.
Don't just say it just for people to pity you.
Yeah.
So then you get to a point of where you're more, like we said about Andrew, his development within it. So obviously he
starts to open up.
Explains why he's in detention.
Yeah.
And obviously we've said about them kind of basically abusing this poor guy in the locker room, taping tape to his bottom, which is going to hurt, especially if they're as hairy as you are.
Yeah.
Like that's going to, it's like a wax in his bottom, pretty much.
On reflection, he's so like really upset and crying about it because it's like, it's how humiliating it would be to be, which...
Well, for the other guy, yeah. And
like,
how do you say sorry to that? Like, he does say that, doesn't he? Because it's like, what's your excuse? Like, why? What's your reason for doing that?
Because my dad said it would, or implied that it would be a good idea to do for a bit of a laugh. And it's like, this is how these things happen, what they think from bullies in school, thinking, oh, this will be funny. Because, I mean, Andrew seems like he hasn't got as bad of a upbringing as he Bender does, like abusive father and all that kind of stuff. But that's how normally things are, isn't it? You don't get the attention at home, so parents lash out at you in your home life, so they have to take it out on somebody else at school to make you feel a bit more superior, which is kind of a sad situation, really.
It is, and you can tell he feels remorseful for it, and he feels guilty for what he's done.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, Bender's not... Yeah, Bender goes around being an absolute dick about everything, but he's not actually hurting anybody. He might with his words, but he's not physically hurting anybody.
Not that we know of, no. He's just slacking off, really.
Yeah, and
for the most part.
Being very honest with everything he says.
Yeah.
He's got no filter.
No, really doesn't.
Of what should I say and what shouldn't I say. You just bleh, and it's out there. And you do think, God, like, this is the things that can actually damage you. Like, your younger self to then when you're older, having these impacts of like, look what parents can do. So the same for Brian, poor little guy. I've never been an A-star student, never. I've worked my bloody hardest, but I'm never an A-star student. I got C's and D's in my GCSEs. I got a D in art, and I really thought that was a solid, like, I was going to get a C. I actually needed, and this is quite apt because it's like A-levels at the moment and GCSE results.
Yeah.
I needed 4 GCSEs above C level, like minimum C's, to get into college. Do you know I only got 3? But because I was a nice person, they actually took me on anyways. So really, I shouldn't have even got into college.
What do you mean by you were a nice person? Did you go pretty please?
I went for an interview with them and I spoke to the person.
Okay, you just convinced them.
No, they interviewed me prior
okay.
to my grades, and it was like based on my grades if I should be able to be getting into it.
Okay.
But I rang up and went, I really would love this course, but I've only got 3 C's. Does that mean I'm not accepted? And basically they said, don't worry about it at all.
Okay.
So, just so you know, grades don't... I shouldn't say this when we have a child. She'll be like, Mummy, you said grades don't mean anything, but they don't. Like, do you use half the stuff you learn in school, apart from writing English?
Yeah.
And doing a bit of maths?
Exactly. I'm not being funny, but when was the last time you used any algebra in your life?
Nothing. Tell me how to do my taxes.
Yeah.
Tell me how to do 20% of things. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, percentages... divide, plus, multiply, all that stuff, yeah.
Why do I need to know my times table? I can just do it on a calculator. Why do I need to recite it? just tell me what a percentage is, so when 50%'s off, I know how much I'm getting off on something. These are the only things you need, though, to get by. Like, okay, science, yeah, brilliant if you want in a scientist career.
Yeah.
What
Specific fields, yeah, of course, but...
What have you kept from science, apart from cooking? That's the only science I would say I do.
Was that not a home economics?
To me, that's science, because the fact that you can create a liquid and it can go into a solid.
Right, okay. Very basic science then. Not like not astronomy or anything like that. Those kind of things.
No.
Particles. But yes, Brian is so worried about having to be the best in his grades, and it's like he can't accept anything lower than A basically, pretty much from his parents. Is like on such a high pedestal for getting the best grades. It's like I can't accept anything less than that.
And he gets an F
For this thing he makes in
Making
shop
a lamp.
class or something. Yeah.
An elephant.
Which I think is ridiculous. Like, not the fact of making an elephant lamp, but...
I'd like that.
But just because it wouldn't work. It's like, well, it failed. Like, surely
it's
the
not
base
a lamp,
principle...
is it?
I know, but it's not like necessarily like, well, you can, give you a bit more time or something. It's like outright just, you failed it. I don't know. It's just... It just seems a bit extreme to just...
Well, if he didn't complete the test in time, would you say he failed that? Probably. So isn't that the same thing of not being able to make a lamp? Just because it's shock doesn't mean... I think that's where Bender gets a little bit like, well, why did you think you'd even be good at that? So they have a bit of a spat, don't they, then? And this bit makes me so sad. This bit really makes me hate Claire. So, bless him, Brian. He's like, now I think we're all friends. We've been together near enough 8 hours.
Yeah.
And
teacher hadn't been to check on us in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, true. And I want to know what's going to happen on Monday. Are we still going to be friends on Monday?
Yeah.
First of all, if they're friends, you shouldn't have to ask that question.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't really know. He's testing the waters, isn't he, really? Which is, to be fair, I'd probably be asking the same question. It's like, well, what are we guys now? Because it's like, you want to check that you're just not going to be like, if you try to go, hey, Claire, or whatever, and then like completely blank, and they're just like more heartbreaking of it, isn't it, really? And I guess it's for more of a story point for us, the viewer, to understand like what's going to occur.
Well, I knew straight away that Claire wasn't going to be, because she values her popularity over a human being, and that's an issue.
Yeah.
She's very selfish, very self-orientated, couldn't be seen with Brian because it would lower her standards. And bless him, even Andrew was saying that might be the case as well for him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Brian, he has friends, but they would accept the popular ones in anyways.
Yeah.
And Alison has no friends, so it won't matter anyways.
Yeah. But see, the thing that I could see that Brian and Alison would hang out after the fact anyway.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Even Bender, I feel like they could all three could hang out.
I don't know about him, to be fair, but
I think not with his other friends. He'd then kind of flip between the two.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But obviously your two popular ones like got a reputation to
uphold.
Yeah. So it does seem to kind of shift a little bit. Because it's getting to a point of where they say, no, we won't be friends. But then you get the scene where you can see Claire's quite liking Bender. And obviously Alison gets a makeover.
Yeah.
And we're coming towards the end now, aren't we, really?
Mm-hmm.
Where, bless him, you see a bit of a more confident, badass Brian walking out on his own. He's got nobody by him. He reminds me of Sam from Lord of the Rings. Like, he's that, even though Sam does get somebody, he's just that lovable character that you just want to mush his little cheeks and be like, oh, I just want life to be good for you. I really don't care for Claire and Bender. I feel like they're a dick of a couple, to be fair. Like, I wouldn't want to hang around with them.
It's like I said before, about how you kind of see that's going to be the case, so the bad boy gets the good girl type of thing, and it all comes around, really, but it's kind of like, it still doesn't feel justified, really, in a sense, really, just for considering how much half the film they were literally going at each other verbally. And it didn't really feel like a great deal of development came from that, really. It was kind of just almost, it did seem almost like shoehorned in at the end. It's like, oh, like, now, I like you now, type of thing. Or she
and
did.
it's more like spiteful towards mummy and daddy than it might be actually generally liking.
Yeah.
It's
perhaps.
like, I want a bad boy and he'll do this and this, and, you know, and he's like,
Yeah.
I've got this rich girl that can give me an ear piercing that I can put in my ear.
Yes, exactly.
And even with Alison and Andrew, it's like, how long is this going to last, really? Is he just going to kiss her on the Saturday and then on Monday completely ignore her?
Who knows, yeah.
Because it's left, isn't it?
Yeah, it's open-ended. Would you have wanted to know, like, I mean, it'd be a bit late in the day to be doing it now.
Peep it off.
Like, where are they now type of thing. Like a sequel of sorts, or like a little...
You mean like what they did with
Friends
Cobra
reunion.
Kai or something?
Friends reunion or something. Yeah, something like that.
No, not really. I just want to know where Brian is.
Did he
actually
get his grades?
Yeah, did he get a wife, or what happened for Brian?
Right.
Don't care about the rest.
No. Do you remember what Brian writes for his essay that he writes for everybody?
No.
No.
I do think it's quite good the way he words it, but the end, I can just remember that there's like a criminal, there's...
Yeah. I'll read it out for you if you want, like, the whole thing. It's not a very short essay, anyway.
It's not 1,000 words, is it?
No, it's definitely not. Failed there. So, it says, Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it is we did wrong. But we think you're crazy for making us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
So we know who the brains are.
But it's implying that they all have a bit of that in them.
Oh no, Brian's the brains. Basket case is Alison.
Yeah.
Princess is Claire.
Yeah.
Athlete is Andrew.
Yeah.
Criminal, in my head, is Bender.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no princess in Bender, is there?
With the earrings, doesn't Yeah. That's what the essay says. That they all have that little bit of it in them, but that is more defining them as they are, as it's written, it's just classed them as.
Technically are all criminals because they ended up having to do things.
Yeah, so. But I guess that's trying to, like, the end message of it being like, well, the teachers or people just assume that's what you are and you can't change. Whereas I think the ending is supposed to imply that they have changed and grown in this time, but I don't feel like it comes across that strongly, really, for the most part.
I definitely think people can change, and I definitely think people can be whoever they want to be.
Yeah.
However, much growth and development within 8 hours is hard pressed in a normal day life.
Yeah. And
I think the only person who has actually probably learned the most from it would be Andrew, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe Brian, just for the fact of his confidence level. He seems to have increased and realised that getting an F isn't the end of the world.
Yeah.
I feel like them two overcome a little bit. Andrew more than Brian.
Yeah.
Alison, still going home, still getting ignored, but at least she's getting attention from a boy for now. And then, really, I don't know what Claire and Bender learnt.
No.
Apart from probably he's
gonna
going to pop her cherry.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably about as far as that will go, really, to be honest.
Probably, until she's pregnant, and then she'll be crying the ponytail.
Yeah. I think you did ask me, why was it called The Breakfast Club?
Yeah, because it's not like they had breakfast. They had lunch. Like, Breakfast Club is a thing in the UK, isn't it? Where you actually go and get toast and jam and milk or something.
Yeah. And,
like, if your parents are working early.
Yeah.
And you need a lift to school prior.
Yeah. exactly.
So I don't know why it's called Breakfast Club,
Yeah.
because it's the Tension Club.
Yeah, so according to the IMDb trivia page, the film's title comes from the nickname invented by students and staff for detention at New Trier High School, the school attended by the son of one of John Hughes's friends. Thus, those who were sent to detention were designated members of the Breakfast Club. So it's just a term that was coined by somebody, but it doesn't really...
No relevance to us, is that?
No, I think it doesn't really specify really any further than that, really. But there you go. That's
At least we know now, I guess. There's a reason behind it, but if it's a strong enough reason for me, beg to differ.
Right, okay. So I'll go first with scoring this time.
It helps, I think I've got a score, so people don't just think I'm going with Paul, letting him go first, being swayed.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I think I've got one in mind. I just wanted to see
Yeah.
your point of view first.
It's not going to be a particularly high one, to be fair. I've seen this quite a few times now. It's definitely certainly an easy-ish watch.
Yeah.
Really. It's a coming-of-age story that's fairly straightforward. What the messages it's trying to convey and everything kind of get lost on me a little bit in terms of, like, I don't see any real development between the characters that's going on and everything, and it's, other than Brian, really, because I can relate to him the most, I don't really gel with any of the others as such, really, and I feel like some of the outcomes aren't really justified for the most part. So
I think we're in a new era now where this doesn't gel as much as it might have
been back.
Yeah,
because the film was set in the 80s, so there's that. Obviously, there's different with technology and stuff now, so it'd be a different story altogether, really, if it was more modern retelling. But which is kind of, like certain films that, like, even they're almost timeless because you can relate to those themes that they've got running through it. Even to a modern day standard, you could go, oh yeah, that still rings true. But I don't know. This doesn't feel like this ages that well, I guess, perhaps. And it's not. I wanted you to see it really more to see like how you were related, because it's almost like a not so much a feminine.
It's a little bit like a rom-com-y kind of teenagey drama.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted you to see it and see what you thought about it really more. So it's not one I feel particularly strongly about, even from when I first saw it and a couple of times since then. It's like, try and watch it, but it's not terrible. Like, oh, I can't possibly watch this anymore, but it's just okay. So
something you can have on in the background and not really have to give too much attention to it. That sounds horrible, doesn't it?
No, yeah. It's obviously very quotable and stuff. There's a lot of themes that are very memorable, and the song "Don't You Forget About Me" is well known. That's all I can think about when I hear that song. I think of this film. So it's going to be put it at 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's lower than me. Not by much, but
okay.
Yeah. So I think I agree with you've got quite a solid background of why you're scoring it the way you are. I think for me as a first watch, I do love a teeny drama. I used to love Liz McGuire. I used to love Liz McGuire movie. So stuff like that. It's like I've always been a kind of teenage drama.
I remember watching that show, actually, I think. It was okay.
Yeah.
What it was.
Even then to the point of Glee, which is the typical, more modern-aged version of Breakfast Club without detention. You've got your populars and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I do quite like a school drama, I guess. But it just felt, I don't know if I'm aging, I just didn't feel like...
We're all aging, so...
just didn't feel as genuine with the times now, I guess, as it would have done back in the 80s. There is only one lovable character. And that's the reason why he's getting a little bit more. I think if Brian wasn't in it for me, I would find it a little bit more irritating.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he really does play a good part and he's lovable. Everyone else, I don't really care. Like, I'd like to see how is Brian doing 5 years later. And the rest of them don't even need to be in it for me.
Okay.
Just because he's such a lovely person. So
in spin-off TV series.
Yeah.
But it's Brian.
I don't know why straight away the dog from Family
Yeah,
Guy just popped into my head. And I think that's kind of where it is left. It's light-hearted. It's one of those things you can put in the background. It is quite good with the storytelling. And it does keep you on your toes because you don't know why people are in detention or how the characters are going to act. And they do have a good development of character building, which I love.
Yeah.
I love a good character build. And that's literally all this movie does. Because really, to be fair, they're only in one place.
The location, yeah.
Yeah. Which is hard to keep you occupied and entertained. So the dialogue is pretty solid because that's the only thing. There's no fancy backgrounds changing or anything like that to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
It is generally you have to fall in love with them or hate them.
Yeah, I guess you could argue also thinking about the fact that with the because obviously in the teens there's the mood swing aspect to throw in there with how they can go from that the love-hate way about things, like turn on a screw with how the 1 minute they're snapping at one another and then it's kind of like all more calm and mellow thing. But
yeah, and as well, to be fair, it's one of those things, isn't it, when you're a teenager, you love them and then you hate them.
Yeah.
The next minute.
Yeah.
Literally, like, emotions are up and down. So, for my score, I would say 7.5, but that one higher score is Brian.
Well, 0.5.
Oh, you did 6. Did you just 6.5?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did 7.5, so it's just 1.
Okay, so I thought you meant it was going to be a 7, but because of it was 0.5 because of Brian.
No, full point for Brian.
Okay, right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I did think you were probably going to like it a bit more than me, really.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if
it's more tailored to my liking.
Thought as much. Yeah, I feel it's definitely more of a for the females, I suppose.
Well, that's just a cliche. But no, I've been
sense.
kind of nattering you for this one, going, what's The Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
I want to watch The Breakfast Club. That sounds nice. And then you're like putting something else on, and I'm like, why have you put this on? I'd much rather watch something a little bit lighthearted. And it really was. So
I enjoyed Speed last episode, didn't you?
That wasn't lighthearted, though.
It's good though, isn't it?
It was good, yeah. It's definitely go check it out. I love how you popped that in there. Getting good at that, aren't you? So I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yeah. Just the last little thing that happened, obviously just before we start recording this, we're watching an episode of Bob's Burgers, and there happened to be an episode where they were the characters were going to detention on a Saturday, and it's like, and they had even some kind of tribute to the "Don't You Forget About Me" music playing as well and everything. Obviously, it wasn't quite the same themes as what it was when they were in the detention. It was something to do with fashion or something, but it was like, it's like, oh my god, this is so weird. We're just about to record an episode. This one we finished before.
And the fact that it was literally, it's not like we searched through. It was just the next episode of Bob's Burgers that was we've been watching because we do quite like it, don't we?
It's a good show, yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet. Alright, so that is everything now. So we'll go to the plugging of where you can find us, which is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from. And we are on social media, on Twitter and Instagram under handle SP_filmviewers.
So if you want to go and have a listen to any other prehistorical
archived
podcasts of ours, please be mindful the earlier years were probably a little bit ropier than we were now.
But you live and you learn, don't you?
You do.
But I'm proud of what we've done in total, really, and then we're getting on to 100 episodes.
Can't believe we've been committed enough
to
keep going.
Yeah. Also, rate us and recommend us on Apple Podcasts as well, and Podchaser, and anywhere else that does podcast reviews. That would be very much appreciated. And as always, if you'd like to donate to our little cause, there's our Buy Me a Coffee page on the show notes and all on our social links, pretty much. You can find that. So yeah.
Also, if obviously cash is a little bit tight, even if it's just leaving us a comment, advising us on some films to watch, that would be much appreciated. Any feedback or reviews or anything like that, we truly appreciate. So thank you all for your support.
Yep. Anything that you might think, oh, before the year's out, let's have them review such and such.
And what should we review on our 100th episode? I don't even know if Paul knows.
I have a plan. But yeah, no, anything in the lead up to that would be thing, because there's still a few gaps that I have in mind that need filling for that. So,
yeah, we've got a bit of September. October will be booked out though, so don't do any scary ones, please. He's already got a horrible list for me.
Which has still got whittled down, but yeah.
You might be able to do a few viewers' choices on that.
Perhaps, yeah. So, thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.